Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto, Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We're going to have a great show for you today. How are my peeps doing? Welcome aboard E2247. Welcome aboard E2247 from all over. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs at Georgia. We also have Bridge MCP from where again? Binghamton, New York. We also have in the house Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. Paul Fleming from, I called Paul Fleming already. Patrick Magner from Meow. Actually, no, he's from Houston, Texas. We also have in the house AVQ from Brooklyn, New York. AVQ, our stalwart, says, feeling distracted today, watching from Twitch. Brother, it's okay to be distracted, though we have a lot of work to do because the polls are tightening according to the mainstream polls. I am still of the thought that the new registries are going to be pushing hard for Kamala. I'm also of the thing that most of the young people who are not being polled, or in other words, you know what I think about the landslide, but we'll see. We'll really see what's going on. The Quinnipiac poll put Trump in the lead in two of the three blue states, what we call the blue wall. But again, by 1 point, or I think the maximum is by 2 points. Not bad given where we are and what's going on and who I think is actually being counted. And it's a Quinnipiac after all. But a lot of other good polls came out today as well. So we'll see what happens. But we have a lot of work to do because the bottom line is that Donald Trump cannot be president again. If he's president again, there is a new America. A new America. And I'm not talking a new America just for us, we the people. I'm talking about America's relationship with the rest of the world would have changed permanently. They've accepted that we had a fluke in 2016. They've accepted that we have the bastions of democracy, we, America, the bastion of democracy. Even as Trump lost 2016 by 3 million votes, the bastion of democracy that's trying to promote this system throughout the world still put somebody in office that got there undemocratically because the founders of this country never intended to have a real democracy. In fact, they also saw, the rest of the world saw, that Joe Biden won with a 7 million vote majority. 7 million votes. And he came within 40,000 votes or so of not being president because America doesn't have a real system that represents all its people equally. Even as we preach that throughout the world, we preach one person, one vote. We preach that. But it ain't so in the United States of America. It ain't so in the United States of America. So if we again get another Republican in power without the popular vote, remember we've had that occur a couple of times already. George Bush, Donald Trump, they've seen that several times now. The world, people that are still living. What do you, who then will give us authority to talk to anybody about the rest of the world and democracy? Yep, we need to win overwhelmingly in November, but we also need to start putting into the process a manner to get rid of the Electoral College. It's the most undemocratic form of government. And not only that, what it does is it takes away the freedom it takes away the vote of a whole lot of Americans. So, folks, after we win in November, we have to find ways to get around the Electoral College. Welcome aboard, Melanie Keelan. Welcome aboard, Melanie Keelan. Actually, democracy is not a popularity contest. It is exactly what we said it is. Democracy. And if the losers keep holding on to power, democracy will fail and the country will fail. Patrick Magner says, we had a court-appointed president who was the son of a president. That sounds like a monarchy. I agree. Michael Ruddin says, Republicans haven't won the popular vote in 20 years. Bush in 2004 showed the popularity of the wars we started for the first 2 years. Exactly. Otherwise, he would have lost again. Pardon, disagree. Democracy is the ultimate popularity contest. Why not abolish the Constitution? Well, we've had to modify it several times. After all, it considered me 3/5 of a man and women couldn't vote, right? So let's be clear. The Constitution has been for a long time a very flawed document made to secure the rights of just a few. That's its original design. Carl Cox says Trump is pure evil, yet his followers, like few here, worship him. You know what? I should read before I get in. Let me see if I have to read anybody's commentary first. Paul Fleming points out that that Boeing cuts off negotiation with strike workers, claiming calls for a raise were unreasonable. The same company spent $68 billion on dividends and stock buybacks over the past decade and gave its CEO multi-million-dollar golden parachutes. What's reasonable is Boeing's greed. That's absolutely true. And I tell what do I tell the workers? Stay your asses off the job, right? There's a lot of employment out there. And you know what the Boeing workers have that they need? You guys have experience. They can't replace you easily. Remember that, Boeing workers. They can try to hold out as long as they can. They can't replace you. Now, what I would start doing if I were the union is start putting up several GoFundMe all around the country, because this should be the last stance to the corporatocracy. Let's show that we are going to support our Boeing workers. So I hope we are going to support the union at all costs. So while we know the union will eventually run out of money, and that's their hope, they believe they can outlast the union because they're going to run out of money. Let's all pay a personal tax when the union needs us and make sure those people stay out and bring Boeing to its knees. That's what we need. We need a collaboration of all people. You know, so I am waiting for that day when we need to get in and help a union to win their case. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. All right. Thank you for all the graphics that you have there, brother E2247. Okay, what else have I got here? Paul Fleming says, bold strategy with less than 30 days until election and losing big with women. Trump, Kamala Harris doesn't even know where the hell she is. No, I don't want to be nice. Someone said you should be nicer. Women won't like it. I said I don't care. You know, what can I say? Unfortunately, there seem to be a class of women who kind of like that. I just don't think those are the women that's going to overpower the women who believe in themselves. That's why I think the polls have got the numbers kind of wrong. I don't think the polls are sufficiently sampling women. I don't think the polls are sufficiently sampling young women, because even when Kamala was not way ahead, but 3-4 points ahead in some of the polls. Today, she's 7 points ahead in the national poll. I don't remember which organization put that out. But even then, I thought that was underperforming based on the women's vote. But we'll see. All right, let's see what else we got here. Before I go on to the video. More dangerous state of the world and the need for fit leadership. Thank you. I think somebody sent me that video. I think so. I think that's where they said that Trump has a psychological problem. I saw the video. Okay. Michael Rannes says if Trump wins, America lost. You're absolutely right about that. Paul Fleming says a fast food giant is suing the U.S. meat industry's big four, Tyson, JBS, Cargill, and National Beef Packing Company and their subsidiaries, alleging a price-fixing scheme for beef. Specifically, McDonald's accused the companies of anti-competitive measures such as collectively limiting supply to boost prices and charge illegally inflated amounts. It's about time, and that is what Kamala Harris is talking about. When they say, oh, you try to fix prices. No, we're trying to stop the private sector from coming together and colluding to fix prices. The private sector is the one that's doing that. You know what I mean? Welcome aboard, Lee Grant from Montgomery County. All right, let's see. Paul Fleming says 150 billionaire families have spent $1.4 billion on 2024 elections so far. On average, each family has doled out $9.2 million in political contributions, just 0.06 of their total wealth. The equivalent donation of a typical household would be $120. We must overturn Citizen United. Been talking about that for decades. Not for decades, for however long it's been out there. All right, let's see. Patrick Manger said we had a court-appointed president. Yeah, I read that one already. All right, Carl Cox says Trump is pure evil. I read that one already as well. I'm scrolling down. Okay. I want to play this one here about the last stance of the patriarchy. It's a caller to my show this morning that really intrigued me. I want you guys to listen to it, and then we'll take it on the other side. All right, let's go to Peggy. Come on in, Peggy.
Ed, you hear me, Egberto? I don't have my sound on, so
Yes, I can hear you well, Peggy. Thank you for calling.
Good. And I'm calling about something you said, I don't remember if it was a day or so ago, about I had a reaction that the way I'm analyzing everything that's going on right now is through the color of the patriarchy. When I think of the patriarchy, I think of it as the way I was trained about it about 60 or 70 years ago, that it's white men in the United States that are the patriarchy. They control everything. Yes, there are black men, brown men, yellow men that all think they're a part of that, but that's more collaboration than actual power. And the white men are going to use the black Supreme Court judge until they get everything they want from him. And if they open up slavery again, he will be a slave. That's who they are. But about 70 years ago, I think it was 70 years ago, that Sonia Johnson was alive and moving on the planet and really, really active. She came out in favor of the ERA, got kicked out of the Mormon church, lost her community, her family, her children, everything. And she began writing about what it was like to be a totally conditioned patriarch wife and then come to the realization that there was nothing in her life that was her. And that's what happens in a patriarchal system. Everybody to their bones is colored by that male dominant reality. And she came up with a theory one time that all of us that were fighting the patriarch, we needed to just stop it. We needed to not give them power, because every time we went to them and fought with them, they were inside of a fort and they would thicken the fort walls. They would raise them up. They would make them bionic. And then suddenly, in my numerous decades of going along this path, I realized that nobody's talking about the patriarchy. We're talking about the basic tenets of the patriarchy: racism, sexism, homophobia, real basic core beliefs of the patriarch that everybody else is bad except them. And then it's like suddenly nobody's fighting the patriarchy, so they don't have to thicken their walls anymore. And then all of a sudden they sort of like come out of their silo and they realize that they've been sort of inculcated themselves amongst themselves and only listening to themselves. And they've let their fort weaken. And outside the fort, rather than us going and fighting them, we have been joining together. It's what I saw in the Black Lives Matter. Everybody was there. And now with Trump and all of the Christian nationalists, because Christianity is a great producer of the patriarchy, and all of these kind of right-wing organizations that I'm hearing talked about in various ways, with various ways of analyzing them, are the patriarchy. And they've lost their power, they've lost their control. And so now they have to come out like a lion. And they're actually coming and fighting us now because they want some of our power because we've taken it away from them. I'm a pre-Roe woman. In my lifetime, we have gone from no abortion to abortion back to no abortion. And it's amazing to think, well, of course, they had to start with the women. They had to get their Supreme Court aligned so that the women would get back into control, so they could get the kids back into control. And what I'm watching right now is I think that it's a deterioration of the patriarchy, and that all of us that are out here thinking we're fighting something, we're really not. We're watching the end of a way of thinking that is archaic in our system today. And yet there's enough of them left that are so indoctrinated into that system that they don't have a clue that they're acting out of their indoctrination. That's what I see happening with the news stories about everybody gives Trump a pass. Well, he's like the ultimate patriarch now. And they are pretty crazy people. And okay, go ahead. I'll shut up now.
Oh, no. I did not. What you said is very important. I want to make a sort of a corollary to what you just said, however, because I don't want us to fall into I don't want all of us, including you, myself, or anybody, to fall into the color trap. What we do is we split, divide, and we use color and all these things as a division. The reason you have the black-white issue, the color issue, is that is easily delineated, right? That is an easy way that we can just look at somebody and delineate them. That said, a white man, a black man, a white woman, a white man, a Chinese, Asian woman, whatever the case is, right? There's no inherent genetical thing that creates a behavior. And the reason I'm stating that specifically is our allies in the movement for freedom, collectivism, etc., cannot be based on any one of those in the collective believing that there's something inherently evil or not evil within them. Like, what is evil are those who control based on those issues. And let me explain exactly what I mean. When you stated that we know the patriarchy, and I try not to say white patriarchy because I like to stand with patriarchy. You stated, well, they are using Clarence Thomas, and if they get what they want, Clarence Thomas would be a slave. I say no. I mean, even during the slavery days in America, in certain communities, there were people who looked just like me that were behaving exactly like what you call the patriarchy. It is and I think you actually said it. You talk about indoctrination. It's a state of mind. These people, they use. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I want to finish, but go ahead and interrupt. It's okay.
Okay. No, I call those collaborators. They all feel that at some level they're going to get to be what the patriarch is. However, they can never be that.
Okay, and that's where I think I may differ with you. You define the patriarchy as white men, as if the color has something to do with it, as opposed to being and what is the word that I want to use? I am trying to take the color out of the patriarchy because there's nothing inherent to color that makes the patriarchy. If I go into a white church, there's a patriarchy. If I go into a black church, whether it has an alienation with a white church or not, there's a patriarchy. There's just something that certain males have the control mechanism, that they believe they have the control mechanism. I think when we apply color to it, let me tell you what, in my opinion, we do. You see all those white boys in Appalachia? You see all those white boys now that are starting to think they are a part of what Trump believes in? They're not. they'll never be, nor do they want them there. They have more in common with our black boys in the ghetto, our Latino boys in the barrios, and they have more in common. It's like Bernie Sanders. A lot of folks in Black Lives Matter had a problem with Bernie Sanders because Bernie Sanders saw some of what I'm saying here, that there is a patriarchy. Race is just a tool within that patriarchy to help assist it win. But it's not it's not the real picture. That's, again, I don't know that it's something that we can prove wrong or right. But I think it is what we're seeing as we even see black men and Latino men jump into the Trump bandwagon. But it's something we should probably subject when I have more time to discuss. So I tell you what, Peggy, please keep listening and please keep calling so we can further discuss this. But my line started to fill up and I want to give everybody about a minute to talk. Can you finish that for me?
Okay. I'm done. I mean, this is a very long conversation that we're beginning to have.
Thank you very much, Peggy. You really gave me some food for thought and stuff that I really want to talk about as well. Thank you, Peggy.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody.
Now, Peggy is very smart, and Peggy nails it, right? The one thing that I try to tell Peggy is, we have to make sure that we understand what the colorism, the race thing does to the movement. Okay, and a lot of people on the progressive side, I know they don't agree with me. And my thing is the race thing is a powerful tool that we need to disarm. And, we need to disarm that tool, but that's for another day. Michael, Bridge MCP says, Michael Rudnin speaking basic living now. Men may have more muscle, but women are no wimps. We make up muscle with our brain. Men are important for sure, but need making a child. Okay, not a plumber or mechanic, as Lee was suggest. Look, we need, men and women are important. And you know what? I know women that are stronger than some men. Of course, from a biological point of view, I think men develop more. And I could add some doctors want to say, no, that's not the reason. But I think men develop bulkier than women. I could be wrong. And I think that's the reason is because they produce more testosterone. I could be wrong. I'm not a doctor. Anyway, Patrick says, we all need each other. We evolved as social beings. Now, that's the magic right there. Eric says, can't disarm what the left fuels. Huh? Don't know if I understand that. Anyway, and by the way, Eric, it's not that I'm ignoring your comments. When you have a comment that actually it is something that I feel should be on a podcast, either to refute strongly or whatever. But I'm not throwing fortuitous things out there like, oh, look at Mr. O is souring on Camp. No, all of that is BS. That makes no sense whatsoever. No sense whatsoever. I don't know any Kamala supporter that is souring on her. What you're seeing right now is you're based on the people that are getting polled. We're seeing people flipping from day to day on things that are happening. It's like, today Donald Trump was successful in trying to demonize Kamala. Kamala answered the demonization, and I see what's really wrong. That's what's going on right now. If you take a look at how those polls are going up and around, that's why all the polls are saying different things right now. Okay, that's it. That's why the polls are saying what they do. All right, look, to all of you that are listening right now, this is a serious election. And let's forget that voting for Donald Trump means that you decide to put a rapist, a liar, a thief, a thug. And these are actually things he's been convicted of, okay? Or found responsible for. He was found responsible for sexually assaulting a woman. The judge said that would be called rape today. He was found to rip people off who joined his false university known as Trump University. He was also convicted of 34 counts of, tax evasion and overpricing property to reduce that. He did all those things. So the people who decide to vote for Donald Trump, yep, they've decided to elect a thief, a thug, a rapist, all of that in one. And if they have children, like I said, amazing that they can look their children in their eyes and tell the children that they need to do right. But hey, that's them. But the next question folks should ask is, what difference am I going to get when that person is elected? What did they point out to me that would make my life better? Well, as you know, right now, millennials and Gen Xers, and to some extent even some younger baby boomers, they're taking care of two sets of people now. Their older parents and their younger children. And we have, our healthcare system is, as you know, likely the lousiest healthcare system in the world. It's the only healthcare system that can bankrupt someone the way our healthcare system can. Okay? Think about that. It is the only healthcare system that can take away your entire earned wealth over time. You know, you build a house and you build $250,000 worth in that house and you pay it off. And you get unlucky and you get some sort of a bad cancer that doesn't kill you, but it leaves you debilitated. And it leaves you that you don't have anybody to take care of you, so you have to move into a nursing home. And what happens? You find out what nursing homes cost. And you also find out that the only way you get assistance for that nursing home is if you're poor, you get rid of all your assets. That's it. Donald Trump never talks about things like that. He just says, I have not a plan. I have a concept of a plan. Well, this is an article from Daily Kos. Here is how Harris Medicare proposal could help the sandwich generation. The sandwich generation means that generation that's having to take care of parent and child. There are only 4 weeks left until Election Day in the final stretch. And by the way, this article was written by Morgan Stephens at the Daily Kos. There are only 4 weeks left until Election Day in the final stretch. Vice President Kamala Harris is finally making a space for the discussion of healthcare in her campaign. During her media blitz the week, Harris proposed on ABC's The View that Medicare benefits would include at-home care for elderly in an effort to avoid high nursing home costs and for those with disabilities. So, this is how Harris quoted it. The sandwich generation are those who have, I explained that already. This is how she said it. It is a personal experience for me, as well as something I care deeply about. She said, referring to when she cared for her mother while she battled cancer. Taking care of a parent means trying to cook what they want to eat, what they can eat. It means picking out clothes for them that's soft enough that it doesn't irritate their skin. It means trying to think of something funny to make them laugh or smile. And there's so much about that that's really about giving folks dignity. I've heard her use that sentence over and over and over again. I don't have it right now. I just decided to play this article today, but folks can find that. She also used that, I think, in the debate. And I can't show the one from The View. There are issues with YouTube and The View. All right. This comes as premium, monthly payments and deductibles. The cost needs to meet average coverage takes whole have soared for individuals and companies. The latest data shows that 1 in 4 Americans, over 70 million, have a disability and need additional health care. Those employed with a disability have also increased since the COVID-19 pandemic. With a shortened campaign taking place since President Joe Biden dropped out in July, Harris has had to tailor her focus on the economy and immigration. Still, healthcare remains an important issue. And I want you guys to listen to these numbers. Because remember what I said about you save all your life, you buy your house, you pay it off, you have about $250,000 in assets that you hope to be able to say, I want to leave a little something for my kid, right? So that every generation gets a little bit more assets. At-home healthcare would create more flexibility for those who need to be cared for at home. It would also allow caregivers to keep their jobs, meaning they can bring income, and thus their source of income while avoiding steep nursing house price tags. The median cost of a private room is $9,733 a month. Think about that. If you had to have a parent, not two parents, a parent in a home, it would cost you about $9,733 per month. In home care, it's not much cheaper at median of $6,292 per month, according to the data for long-term care insurance company Genworth. Again, those prices we know are ridiculous. If you built an apartment building and you gave a private room to, let's say, 50 people, and you hired for those 50 people, let's say 3 nurses, a food court, etc. Let's just round it off to $10,000. All right? You're talking $5 million a month. $10 million for the 50 people every month. You're getting, what is it? 50 times 10,000 is what? Wait. For 50 people times 10,000, that's about 50 million, right? Did I get that right? Yeah, 50 million. $50 million a month. And with that, all you got to pay is utilities, dinner, nurses, etc. You may pay the nurse about, let's put the nurse at $12,000 a month, not a month. The nurse is probably, let's say $10,000 a month. Let's go ahead and have the cooks and all. I mean, it is nowhere. All of this are, you remember a couple of days ago, we spoke about venture capitalists and these investment firms. This is how they rip us all off. This is how they take back the little bit of wealth that many of us have been able to accumulate. So here we go. That's what it costs per month. Kamala is saying, all right, we are going to modify Medicare to do this. Now, of course, when Kamala goes into office and start to do this, the insurance companies are going to be coming into Gazoo to provide that service to the United States government. And they're probably going to say, hey, we can do that. If you bring us all these people, we can probably do it for $5,000 a month, which would be an overcharge as well. But they'll do it. And Kamala and her people are probably going to accept it. And then what we have to do as progressives is go in there and say, kick the private companies out and let's hire government doctors, government nurses, government things, and let them do it without a profit and have an incentive basis to make sure that it is done in an efficient manner. Make government work and not allow the misery of the few to become, or the misery of the many to percolate all of our money up to a few. I mean, these are real issues to talk about. These are real issues that affect every American if they get old enough. These are real issues, folks. Not Haitians eating cats and dogs. Not a immigration crisis that really isn't what they purport it to be. Not lying about a hurricane, folks not being taken care of within a hurricane. These are real issues that affect real people, not a gender problem with gays or trans are going to get your kids. You really want to know who are the people that most sexually affect your kids, you better check your church. So let's be clear here. Let's be very clear. Democrats and a Harris campaign wants to tackle real issues. She said something on The View, I think, and also she said it on a couple other programs she was on. Colbert. She said Donald Trump isn't going to come and do any one of these programs, but just listen to his rallies. Listen to his rallies. He doesn't care about any one of you. He doesn't call out a policy specifically and say, this is how I will make your life better. Okay? However, you see Kamala Harris out there saying, yes, I'm going to fix Medicare so that we can handle this problem that you guys have having to take care of parents, etc. I am going to pass laws to make sure you are going to have care for your kids so that you can work. I am going to make sure that if you have a newborn, you get $6,000 so that you can get strollers, etc. for your kid. And by the way, when we give you those tax credits to do these things, guess what happens? That money goes into the economy and it turns around. More strollers are sold. All these other things turn around. So all in all, it's good. It promotes families, right? The right likes to talk about family values, right? And they hate abortion. What they don't tell you is one of the reasons of a lot of women and people have to choose abortion is that they know they can't take care of this kid. They know it. But if they knew they had a supporting cast, if they knew they had support, then they wouldn't do these things. If you take a look at the states with the most abortion, I tell you what, let somebody do a search on that. What state has the most abortion? Let me go ahead and do that. What state has the most abortion? Most abortions per capita. Because I tell you what, folks, if you take a look at it, okay? All right, let's talk about it. Florida, Georgia, D.C., Washington, D.C., all these places, large abortions, okay? And I wonder why. So we have to understand, folks. We have to understand what's happening. We have to understand. We have to start telling people to look at what's really happening. Stop letting them get you off. You know, if you listen to Donald Trump's commercials, oh, they're eating cats and dogs. Oh, they're this trans. Look, if you come here to Texas, right? Colin Allred is saying, I am going to make sure your Medicare stays put. I'm going to make sure that your Social Security is not cut. You know what? Ted Cruz commercial against Allred is. He wants gay people. He wants trans in your bathroom. He wants trans athletes. What? They are taking people's eyes off the ball. And for those people who are gullible enough, their eyes off the ball as they're screwing them on the other side. It's amazing. It is amazing what's happening. Actually, Colin Allred is doing a debate with Ted Cruz later on this month. So no, he's not running from anybody. He's not running from anybody. Ted Cruz the truth of the matter is, I would never, ever go ahead and interview with some of these stations in Texas because they're pretty much on the take. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Patrick says, one that banned sex ed is a guarantee. Yep, it's always that way. Let me go ahead and start reading. Kamala Harris struggles to answer questions about her economic plan in 60 minutes. No, she didn't struggle at all. She simply let it out. Now, it turns out that Andrea Mitchell took up a right-wing talking point and said, well, Kamala was interviewed by 60 Minutes and she did well, but, she struggled with the answer and how she's going to be. No, she didn't struggle. It's not how much a struggle is it to say we're going to make sure that rich people start paying the taxes that they've been getting off from paying for a long time. There's no struggle there. And Eric, stop putting that stophoustonmurders.com in the thing. I'm going to do a program with a judge to prove that all you guys are full of it, talking about the crime rate and all of that. Again, it's so easy to take your minds away, my brothers. Come on, my brothers. You don't want me to tell you the truth. And Eric, you said in Ask Egberto Anything, I should just disagree with you. I shouldn't tell you anything else, but you put out bad information and you just want me to let it fly? Hell no. You're simply wrong. You're wrong. One of my callers tell me, Egberto, you are nice already. Just tell them they're wrong. So Eric, you're absolutely wrong. That's all. Okay. And likewise, you're wrong, Lee Grant. All these stories are being used by your people to fool you. What I say is go a bit deeper. Go a bit deeper. And I don't give my stuff. I tell you when my stuff is an opinion. Otherwise, it is fact. Okay. Look up my record compared to the places that you follow. I got a good story from our brother, Tom Zornick sent me an article from Huffington Post. And I think everybody should read it. It sort of explains, it sort of explains the mindset of some of our brothers and sisters. Let me see if I can find that email. I should have actually. Did I link it? I want to find it because when I read the entire article, I said, you know what? If Sarnik sends an article like this, I better go read it now because I am sure it is of immediate value. So what I want to do is see if I can find it and get it to you all because it's a very, let's see, it's a very important article. Let's see if I can get to it. Bear with me, guys. I know it is here somewhere. So bear with me as I search for it. I want to search and I want to find it. Come on. Egberto, you can find it. Let me see if it's in another. Anyway, but the article was about why, let's see here. No, come on. Zornik, are you on the call? Are you today playing incognito or what? Are you here or not? If you're here, could you throw that link into the chat? That would be great. But I'm going to find it no matter what and get it out to you guys because it's an important article. But I also found another article that I need to play for you guys, and let me go ahead and get it for you. Because this article is, I put it in my read later, but I read it already. It's out by, let's see, Biology Explains Why People. Thank you very much, Sarnik. Let me go ahead and get the link for it. There you go. Let me get the link for that because I think it's important. Let's see. I got that there. I'm going to find that article and put the link out there for it. There we go. I found it on HuffPost. Okay, folks, including you, Eric, read this article. Very important. Read that article. Bridge, if you're still here, please read that article. But it's interesting that I got that article from you after I read this particular article that says biology explains why people normalize Trump. And I'd like all of you to read this article. It's by the Bulwark as well, Jonathan Last. I'm not a fan of these guys, but these are Republicans who actually saw the light. So please read that other article that says biology explains why we normalize people. And he gave 2 examples where both sides normalize people. America has been navigating this one is not too long. America has navigated a slow rolling catastrophe for the better part of a decade. I would like us to pause for a moment to observe the extent to which we have normalized it. Why? Because I want us all to consider what we might normalize by 2028. And what he gave as an example is this. I want you to listen to what Trump said on one of the shows. This is what he said on the Hugh Hewitt show. You could see, let me get to it. Republicans and conservatism normalize Trump because they want to. The rest of us normalize Trump because we had to. Human beings can't live in a state of emergency indefinitely. Our nervous system can't handle it, which is why we are wired to re-anchor our new norms. Re-anchoring is usually a gradual process that takes place imperceptibly. In this election, we've been able to track it in real time. Check this out. You could see it on Hugh Hewitt's face yesterday. Trump called into his show, and Hewitt tried to guide him through the interview and keep him on track. It didn't work. Trump said the following exact words. I want to read this to you. People like to talk about word salads from Kamala Harris. But Kamala Harris's word salads, when she uses them, is a deflection method to answer a question without answering a question. But it's always a very intelligent word salad. I want you to listen to this from Trump, because this one is crazy. The nuclear is I don't even know what he means by the nuclear, but check this out. The nuclear is the single biggest problem the world has. Not global warming, where the ocean will rise 1/8 of an inch in the next 500 years. These people are crazy. The biggest problem we have is nuclear warming, not global warming. And the nuclear people can't have the nuclear. The nuclear is the power. I rebuilt our entire force, and our nuclear is the best in the world, and Russia's right behind us. What the hell does that say? You see, that is the mentality that some would want to put into the Oval Office. That made no sense. First of all, he's trying to knock climate change by making believe the oceans are only going to rise 1/8 of an inch, which they've already in 100 years written several inches. That's the first part is a lie. We know that every time he says anything, it has to start with a lie. Then he says the problem isn't global warming, but nuclear warming. What the hell does nuclear warming mean? It means nothing. And he then tries to say he invested in nuclear reactors. Okay, but the first new nuclear reactor that came online occurred under the Biden administration in Georgia. What is he talking about? Again, people, that is what many want to put into power. Because they don't care that he's a dummy. They don't care that what's really getting ready to happen is that they want to put this dummy into power so that the people the billionaires who are really supporting him get to throw out their Project 2025 stuff. That's what it's all about. They don't care about Trump, but they'll use Trump as being the person who has the MAGA mesmerized. Bridge wants me to read this. The SOB, new Woodward book reveals candid behind-the-scene conversation of Biden, Trump, Harris, and Putin. In his new book, legendary journalist Bob Woodward offers a remarkable look behind the scenes of President Joe Biden's blunt profanity-laced assessment and interactions with the world leaders who have shaped his presidency, from Benjamin Netanyahu to Vladimir Putin. That SOB, Benjamin Netanyahu, he's a bad guy. He's a bad effing guy. Biden declared privately about the Israeli prime minister to one of his associates in the spring 2024 as Israelis' war in Gaza intensified. Woodward writes, war is an intimate and sweeping account of one of the most tumultuous periods in presidential politics and American history. That effing Putin, Biden said to an advisor in the Oval Office not long after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, according to Woodward. Putin is evil. We're dealing with the epitome of evil. The book War also reveals new details about Donald Trump's private conversation with Putin and a secret shipment of COVID-19 testing equipment Trump sent to Russian president for his personal use during the height of the pandemic. Of course, he lied and denied it. But yeah, while we were trying to get stuff for our own COVID solutions, he was sending stuff to Russia. Patrick said he's protecting his golf course from rising sea levels. Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, folks. So look, let's be clear here, okay? Let's be very, very clear. The things that we should be worried about aren't trans, homosexuals, eat cats, Haitians eating cats, immigration. The things that we need to be concerned about are things that affect us day in and day out. Taking care of your parents, taking care of your kids, making sure you have somebody to take care of kids when you go to work. Make sure that you have enough money to take care of your kids. Make sure your kids can get an education. All are these things that we should be worried about. But I want to show you something now. I want all of you in the chat. We have people from the left and the right in the chat. Go through the chat and look at everything our MAGA supporters have written about. Look at everything they've written about. None of them have written anything about anything that would solve a real problem that all of us have, including those who are writing these things. Because all of us have the same problems. Whether we're MAGA, liberal, progressive, conservatives, we all have the same problems. So we have issues to solve. But look at what they are concentrating their ire on. It tells you what the Trump and MAGA movement have done to the minds of many. Instead of wanting to solve the real problems, and Harris has a full dossier of the things that she wants to do, they allow Donald Trump to simply say, look there, don't look that I'm screwing you here. Hey, look there, don't look that I'm screwing you here. Talk about trans. Talk about lesbians. Talk about Haitians eating cats. Lie about the hurricane. And if you keep them all pissed off on all those issues, they don't even realize that they're getting the shaft. They don't even realize it because they're so busy fighting the hateful rhetoric that Donald Trump represents that they can't see that Donald Trump getting into power would actually screw them. You know, it's amazing. And you know what we are going to do over the next 26 days? Talk to people and make sure that they know the truth and go out there and vote their interests. And vote their interests. And vote their interests. Anyway, I got to get out of here. I got another interview about the school board, not the school board, but a bond election here that I got to go do. But before I go do, I need to ask you guys for your support. Please support the program. And how can you do that? You can support the program by going to politicsdoneright.com/support. Egberto, you're showing on the daily that the left keeps talking about issues that matter. The right has culture war, nonsense, and conspiracy bunk. 2 minutes of hate. Yep. Yes. You're absolutely right. So there we go. Support the show, the program, please. Go to politicsandright.com/support. politicsandright.com/support. It has all the different forms in which you can support our program. But what I'd like to ask you, because we're way behind on our subscription to our newsletter, is to go to politicsandright.com/newsletter to sign up and become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. By doing that, you get to read all our books free of charge, and you get to read more in depth into the articles that I write. If you take a look right now, let me see if I can get to that page. Right now, the meat of our articles are for those people who are the subscribers, and the other part the main part, the synopsis of our articles for everybody to read. So please consider becoming a paid subscriber by going to politicsandright.com/newsletter. I got to get out of here. My name is, first of all, thank you all for being here. Love you all, callers, listeners, everybody. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.